Foster watches. You've never heard of Foster watches. And if you have heard of Foster, congratulations. You're so deep in the affordable watch world that you probably have a vitamin D deficiency. For the rest of us who haven't heard of Foster, that's because until now, it didn't exist. Foster is a new brand, and this is its first watch, the 11 Atmos Skin Diver. There are a lot of watches in the micro brand world. Too many. I can't keep up, and frankly, I don't want to keep up. But once in a while, a watch will get my attention and keep it, which is not an easy thing to squirrel. So of all the watches between $400 and $1,000, why am I looking at this 11 Atmos Skin Diver from a new brand? 2 reasons. First, I think it's an interesting watch, and I'll get into that. And second, I like the people behind Foster Watch Company. Let's start with that second point. One of the guys behind Foster is Everett Meadows. I know Everett as a watch nerd in Oregon, but more people know him as a host of 40 and 20, the Watch Clicker podcast. Hey, what do you call a group of men having a conversation? A podcast. Anyway, 40 and 20 is a show mostly about affordable timepieces, and I like listening to it because not only is it kind of funny at times, but these guys really know the affordable watch space, and so I think that lends some credibility to this watch. Because behind it is someone who knows the good, the bad, and the ugly of the micro brand world. I was initially hesitant to make a video about this watch. I don't do favors on this channel. If I cover a watch, I want that to be because I'm genuinely interested in it. Not even that I necessarily like a watch, but that I find something in it that is worth discussing. And when I received this watch in the mail and I put it on, I knew that this was worth my time and maybe yours too. The 11 Atmos is 39mm wide, 12mm thick, and 48mm long. It has 20mm lugs and weighs about 142 grams on the full bracelet. It's water resistant to 110 meters. That's what 11 Atmos means. 1 Atmos, or 1 unit of atmospheric pressure, is equal to 10 meters of water depth pressure thingies. The watch costs $500, and Foster has made 200 in black, 50 in orange, and 50 in green. It's not a limited edition, but there's no guarantee more will be made. The watches go on sale the day this video goes up, November 25th, whatever year this is. One of the most interesting things about this watch is the crystal. It's got a lovely dome, which is right in line with this mid-century style of dive watches, but even more true to that time is that this crystal is acrylic. You're either gonna love it or hate it, or be somewhere in the middle, I guess. Okay, it's a spectrum. Acrylic is vintage-y. It looks great, it even feels great when you touch it. But the big drawback is that it scratches. After a while of wearing this watch, you will see light abrasions on the crystal. What's kind of cool about acrylic is that those scratches can be easily polished out at home with the right kind of cloth. Also, acrylic doesn't shatter like sapphire does. Now, I prefer sapphire. I'm much more likely to scratch a crystal than break one. And there are watches with domed crystals that look just like this that are made of sapphire, but I don't think those watches cost $500. The bezel is also a big part of the look of this watch, and it's one that I really like. This is a black PVD bezel that's a single piece, which is relatively rare. Most bezels include a bezel and a bezel insert, but this is just one component. But my favorite aspect of this bezel is that it's a 12-hour bezel. That means that you can use it to track a second time zone. You rotate the bezel so that the time offset is at the 12 o'clock. So I want to track what time it is in Qatar because I'm watching the World Cup. Qatar is 11 hours ahead of me, so I put 11 at the 12 o'clock position on the watch. Then I read the hour from the bezel. Now I can see that the time in Qatar is half past the US men's team getting knocked out too early again, o'clock. The bezel has 48 clicks, which is perfect for this style. It allows for tracking any time zone in the world without allowing any positions that aren't real time zones. Under the acrylic crystal is a handsome and simple dial. Just 2 lines of text and no date. The orange dial is certainly my favorite of the 3 color options, but all have the same lume application, which seems pretty generous. This thing really glows. The design of this case is called a skin diver, which is also a great term for a very promiscuous person. A skin diver case is generally thin, simple, and has a more elliptical shape than a purely round watch. This case has drilled lug holes, which makes strap changing super easy, and the bracelet has quick release spring bars, which also helps with that. These are a couple features that point to actual watch lovers being involved in the design process for this watch. I really like the look of this bracelet. It's kind of like a fully brushed Jubilee, and I think it looks just right for this throwback design. The clasp has 4 micro adjustment spots, which is great, but the clasp is really hard for me to open. Everett, you gotta fix this thing. I broke a nail on this, and my manicurist is booked until after the holidays. I'm just devastated. Inside the 11 Atmos is the Miyota 90S5 movement. Miyota was founded by Citizen in 1959 and makes a lot of affordable movements. The 90S5 has 42 hours of power reserve, it beats at 4 Hz, and it both hacks and hand winds. As for accuracy, no, probably not. Officially, this should be within minus 10 to plus 30 seconds per day. I haven't timed this specific watch because I don't care. The 39mm skin diver case is ideal on my 7-inch wrist. The large black bezel makes the watch look a little smaller just visually, while the case shape kind of makes it wear a little larger, and between those competing factors, it's just great on me. At 146 grams, it's not a light watch, but everything feels pretty balanced. I don't generally try watches in this price range, maybe Seiko is the one exception, so I don't have a lot to compare with when it comes to quality. Like I said, the clasp is dangerously tight. There are a few sharp edges on the bracelet and clasp, and I have felt some arm hair pulling. But the bezel is really snappy, the end links fit perfectly, and the bracelet uses screws for the links, which my beloved Seiko doesn't even do. To be real with you, I kinda sorta want one of these watches. This orange one, actually. The question for me is, would I put this on in the morning instead of my Explorer 1, or 2, or Ploprof, or Tank, or Luminor? Or my point is that it would have some tough competition, but I do really like this 11 Atmos watch. You're not going to see this watch in stores, so this is probably the best look you're going to get at it. From what little I know about the affordable watch space, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of competition for $500 divers. I haven't tried many of them on, so I can't compare, but on its own, I feel really good about this watch. And hey, little baby Foster Watch Company, I think you should be proud of this one.